Okay, guys, so we're going to start with this new unit on male reproductive system. We're going to talk really about reproduction, growth, and development, things along those lines. So this last little portion of our classes together. This will be kind of what the majority of your final will be on. However, you may see a couple questions here or there of stuff we've already covered. So we're going to start with the male reproductive system. And all of this kind of goes into this idea of sexual reproduction. And sexual reproduction requires two people, two parent organisms, a male and a female. And the idea here is that we're going to have a variety because we have things that allow for, crossing over and things along those lines that allow for each offspring to have a variety of genetic characteristics. And therefore, that makes it, unique and more likely to not find one person that looks exactly like the next person. So idea here is that it also helps with the survival of the fittest as well. It allows for us to keep the good genetic traits and get rid of the bad ones, and allow for us to keep carry on the reproductive line. Now, in asexual reproduction, the parent organism is going to look exactly like the offspring, and vice versa. So therefore, it only requires one parent organism. Essentially, it's just creating more duplicates of itself. An example of this is bacteria. Some plants also do this as well. So when it comes to reproductive systems, the whole purpose of reproductive systems are just to produce cells that are going to be good for offsprings. In addition, they also regulate hormones that allow for development of secondary sex characteristics. This can trigger puberty, which is kind of the beginning and allows for you to know whether or not you can actually be able to reproduce children and offspring. So, when it comes to the male reproductive system, they're going to be classified into two different essential organisms or organs. Sorry, the first one's going to be the gonads, and which is essentially your testes for the most part, and they're going to be the ones that kind of make the gametes. Okay, everything else is going to be considered an accessory organism, so that's your genital ducts, um, your glands, your supporting structures. Um, Basically, essentially, they want to get the sperm from your testes to the outside of the body and, hopefully going somewhere to make an offspring. Okay, and that's the idea. So these accessory organisms are just there to support the reproductive process. They're not the ones that are creating the gametes that are essential for the reproductive process. Okay, so we've got all of our situations here. This is the testes. Ooh, what is it? Okay, these are our testes here. This is where all of our reproduction, or our gametes are made. They go from our testes all the way through this whole structure and eventually come out here. Okay, and each of these areas is a different plays a different role within going ahead and making it so that we're able to have male reproduction that's occurring. In addition, you also are seeing some other things that are also part of your urinary tract or possibly your digestive tract, which we have our anus here, and we've got the urinary and your urethra and your urinary bladder and your urethra. Those are all part of your urinary system. So they kind of are all kind of like right next to each other. And that's why, we have certain things that we do. Okay. So whenever we talk about this, males and females both have this thing called a perineum. And it's a diamond shaped area that occurs between the thighs. And essentially, what this is, it allows for us to essentially, like, I guess the best way to put this is separate out our area of reproduction from our area of secretion. Okay. So the idea here is that we have this pubic symphysis anteriorly to the coxaries posteriorly, and essentially we have the anal triangle and the urogenital triangle. So this is your urogenital triangle. This is your anal triangle. You have your anus. We have the location of the coccyx, the perineal body, which is the in between area. And again, this is where we start our location. Okay. So, testes are located, they're small oval glands that are flattened side to side. They're located in our scrotum. Okay, so remember the scrotum kind of is like the protective area. And that has scrotal tissues and spermatic cords. Okay. In addition, it's got this little thing called the tunica oblongata, and that's encases each testy. This basically sends out septa that divides the testes into 200 lobules. Um, Essentially, what those are, they have interstitial cells and semi-inferius tubules. And essentially, what those do is they are where the sperm is made. Okay, essentially, your gametes are made in that area. Okay, and then it goes out through the epididymis. Okay, so see semiotubules. Uh, We've got the septum, lobule, and again this tunica oblongata, epididymis, efferent ducts. This essentially connects these efferent ducts, connects and they connect and they drain the testes into the epididymis. Okay, so interstitial cells. These are endocrine cells between the seminiferous tubules. They are basically uh, simultaneous tubules is where the spermatogenesis occurs, and interstitial cells become more prominent. That's endocrine cells. So essentially, they're the ones that are going to be releasing your hormones. Okay, so these are the seminiferous tubules and the interstitial cells in between. Okay, more testes. Okay, so sustentacular cells, if I can talk, which I can't, um, they're going to regulate sperm functions of the testes. Essentially, what they're going to do is they're going to make sure that this gonadotropin releasing hormones and follicle stimulating hormones, these essentially stop the idea of going ahead and producing more gametes. And so inhibin is going to prevent that, and that's secreted by these cells. Okay. They also produce this androgen binding protein, which binds testosterone to make it more soluble and therefore produce more testosterone because we have more of a capacity to keep it in our body. We also have this thing called the blood testes barrier, and it just kind of forms this kind of essential barrier area in between the spermatogenetic cells. Okay. So testes functions, they do two major things. They are the site of, obviously, of our gametes being produced, which is spermatogenesis. In addition, they release testosterone, which is going to come from your interstitial cells. And it's a major androgen in humans. It kind of makes males the way they are. Okay. Testosterone, again, is going to have for the maintaining of your secondary sex characteristics for males, and maintaining the accessory organs. In addition, it also indicates male behavior. Okay, they also help regulate metabolism, stimulate protein anabolism. Again, that gives males more of that ability to have, instead of having like women, females, we have curves, we have, breasts, and all those types of things. Males have more muscular, don't have as many curves. That's going to be because of testosterone. It also stimulates bone growth, and it plays a role in fluid and electrolyte balance. Okay, so testes and the anterior posterior gland. Obviously, we talked about this a little bit, but the idea here is the follicle stimulating hormone, the luteinizing hormone. Again, luteinizing hormone increases testosterone secretion. We want to also see follicle stimulating hormones. This stimulates rapid sperm production. In addition, you might see some estrogen and inhibin. Those are going to be produced as well. Okay, so it's just all about, balancing out and making sure that we have the right amount of gonadotropin releasing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so that's the end of this lesson. We're going to go ahead and stop here, and then we're going to move on to the next portion here in the next video.